Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Iron Panther Presents. Today, we got Jamani and Chris, and we shall be talking about The Last of Us, Season 1, Episode 6. What we got? Tommy's back. We got some things going on, new characters, story moving on. Chris, what did you think of last week's episode?
I gotta say, hey, Let the Right One In, the show that we watched on Showtime. You guys, this is how you do CG apes. Okay, this is how you CG. This is how you do CGI monkeys. This is how you do it. This is how you do it.
Money, damn it.
That's how you do it. That's how you do CGI apes.
Damn it.
I just want to start it off with that.
Hey,
and
only HBO would do it right, because definitely not Showtime.
Yeah. I mean, at times I was like, damn, we're about to get Jumanji in here? You know, like, is someone about to roll a 5 or an 8? Like, you know, like, what's going on? About to get, Andy Parrish up in this.
Where the monkeys come
I was waiting for Parrish to pop out, like,
shit. Yeah, what's Kevin Hart? What? Damn it.
Oh, I was thinking of all right, that Jumanji was all right. I was thinking about the original. I was thinking Robin.
He dead. I'm saying you got to go with the new.
I guess. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Anyway, come on, man. What you got?
Yeah, no. Overall, I really liked the episode. I will say this, and it's going to be weird what I say, because I feel like for Pedro Pascal's character as Joel, this was the episode where I was like, okay, this dude's going to be nominated for an Emmy. You know what I mean? With his interaction with Tommy. And as well as Bella at the very end, like her, like every just the whole interaction. So that being said, there was a lot of moments that I was also was like, it's a little bit slow. Even I try to separate myself from the game a lot, and there was some iconic stuff that happened in the game that you're like, oh, they're gonna have to put that in there. And I was surprised that like there's stuff in this episode they just didn't do, which I guess I kind of get, mostly at the university. A lot is supposed to happen at the university. Monkeys, yes, they run into the monkeys in the game, but they also run into like a lot of clickers and a bloater and everything else. And yes, raiders, but it wasn't just like them taking out just that one guy, which I love the throwback to the game with stealth killing, because that's what you're doing. You're grabbing people by their neck half the time, just like stealth killing folks. But that became a huge sequence, and that's when you really start to trust Ellie a little bit more, because Ellie got your 6 and everything else. But overall, good episode. Like Jamani kind of said off screen, in the first game, you don't actually see Jackson, and I was surprised because like this episode had so many part 2 Easter eggs, a lot we can't say on here, you know what I mean? But so many like, oh, I recognize that reference. Oh, I know who that is. And oh, wait a minute, is that, you know what I mean? And then I looked at the podcast, and apparently the podcast, according to the they had the director on the game, and they said in the first game, because in the show, in the game, and you meet up with Tommy, but you meet outside the dam. You never actually go in Jackson. You know what I mean? You don't see Jackson until you're in the second game. But the director of the game was saying that he had concept art and he wanted to put Jackson and all of this stuff that you see in the game. However, with everything that they like put in as far as the shots and whatnot and what they need to have for Naughty Dog, they ran out of the budget. They said that stuff was like late additions. They said there was stuff that he had to sacrifice and be like, okay, I want more stuff like the hospital scene and all this other stuff. That when it came to Jackson, they were like, you know what? We'll say if we get signed off for a sequel, we'll put it in that. So this was, I guess, apparently the show was their opportunity to put this one in it. Put this in it. There was stuff that they changed in this one. I guess to make it realistic, like this dog could not sniff out, her being infected. I guess she's not really infected technically. You know what I mean? So that was an interesting change. You know what I mean? I guess it makes sense, because if you're like immune and whatnot, like will a dog actually necessarily like sense that in the blood? Like will it just, you know what I mean? A scanner is one thing, but with that, yeah. overall, really cool. Gabrielle, the homie playing Tommy, really cool. Just good shit. Just acting, just great. I just wanted maybe a little bit more action. Loved the couple in the beginning. I thought they were freaking hilarious. Like, what's a fire? Is that a fire? There's firefly people, like, and I'm just laughing, and they're just like, love it. They were not in the game, but awesome addition to just throw in here. But yeah, overall, good episode with a few concerns. I mean, not concerns, but critiques, I should say. So that's it.
Thank you, Chris. Jamani, your thoughts, sir?
Okay, we're more than, I'd say, halfway done with the season, and I can honestly say I'm disappointed with the lack of action that we've seen, or the lack of infected. Like, it's like we've only seen the infected in like the first 2 episodes and then the 5th episode. So it's like, and I would say we'll see it next episode, and then like it's like we'll probably get maybe 4 or 5 episodes out of the whole 9 where there's actually infected action going on. So I'm like, that's kind of a disappointment from coming from the actual source material. Like, it's so dramatized that you're taking so much action out that you're only getting it every other or every 2 episodes at this point. This episode was good in seeing them expand the story that in the game was, not very, it wasn't really entertaining in the game. Pretty much, it was, it was just getting from point A to point B, or, this was kind of more entertaining in the show perspective to dramatize all of it. They switched up some sort of lines as far as the conversation with him and Tommy, Joel and Tommy. So it kind of gave a lot more. It made you humanize with Joel a little bit more. I think it was good. I think that I kind of want to know what you guys think about the whole. So we had the whole waiting to exhale conversation about Black guys leaving for white women, but now I'm like, so was they casted Sarah, right? So I'm like, did they cast Maria to be Black just so that we could have this particular scene where Ellie looks at the picture and says, "Oh, is that your kid?" No, that was Joel's kid, because now both brothers have been with Black women, so to say. And
what?
I'm saying both brothers have been with Black women. So
you haven't seen his wife, so you don't know that. I mean, she could have been.
But not only that, Joel was also with Tess as well. So at some point,
So there's that.
I don't know. I think they just like yo, you got pussy, I got dick.
Hey,
I don't.
We got opportunity. I mean, they don't see color. They don't see color. I'm not seeing the connection. Like, so with Joel seeing the young lady at the Christmas tree and thinking that was his daughter. One, I mean, that's perfect casting for the actress that that played that character.
Right.
But I mean, to your point, to the sense that she was a minority, that was easier to separate her from everybody else, so you saw the curly hair. But that doesn't necessarily mean her that Joel's wife or baby mama, or whatever, was Black. I mean that don't necessarily, especially not like Maria. That's definitely not. I mean, I wouldn't put those two together. But at least they had something in common. Do they even get into Sarah? I mean, Sarah's dead. So do they ever get into the mama in the game at all? Like, is that even a thing?
And the second game, I mean, you hear about her. Basically, she's skedaddled. She dipped on both Joel and her daughter. You know what I mean? But again, her daughter, Sarah. I mean, I'm assuming they never show a picture of wife, but I'm assuming his wife was white, because you saw Sarah was like white. It was definitely white.
And I'm saying, like, in the game, Maria was white as well. But I'm saying now they've made all of those characters black now. So I'm saying, was it you made one character black? So now we've succinctly made all of these other black.
I see. I think
yeah,
they're just trying to do some inclusion stuff because even if you look
Yeah.
at Joe and Tommy's supposed to be white, and they made both like I mean, not that they necessarily like say it out loud, but both Hispanic. You know what I mean? So it's like,
And they don't
because if you remember Tommy in the game, Tommy was like a freaking redneck. He was like a redneck. You know what I mean? He was cool. Like, that boy was like so redneck.
I know, right? I mean, again, it's a whole. So they're just going for a different route. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, to your point of being too consistent, you know what I'm saying? I mean, Maria could have been Asian or something, just so it doesn't look so binary that it's like black.
I understand like the inclusion. I was just saying that I wonder if they did it just for that scene where she looks at the picture and Ellie thinks that the Sarah is Maria.
That wasn't a picture.
It was just their names.
It was names and dates of death.
Yeah, and then just a candle in front of that thing. That was it. But no, there was no pictures of Kevin.
Yeah. That's why I was like, there's no pictures of anyone. Yeah, of anyone.
Yeah. Because you remember, I mean, if I remember in the game, you don't even hear that Maria even had a
child,
a son at all. However, you did hear, I guess like to your point, they did spread it out. They did expand it a little bit more in the game. In the game, was it Ellie just approached Joe and says, I was like, Maria told me that you had a daughter. You don't see the scene. This one we get that scene. You know what I mean? So I was like, okay, that's dope. So my bad. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's in the game, she actually gives him the picture. Remember,
Tommy did.
Tommy gives him the picture and he doesn't take it, but Sarah says, I stole the picture.
Yeah.
I mean, not Sarah.
I'm glad you brought it up. That was my other critique. That was my other critique about this episode too. I wanted that moment and we did not get that. Yeah, I mean, it was a strong scene already, but I remember that was an iconic moment in the game where like Joe's keeping it all in and Tommy says, hey, I have something for you. And he brings out a photo of Sarah and he's like, and it's just traumatized Joe. And he's like, no, I don't want it. He's like, Joe, this is you and Sarah. He's like, I can't, I don't. He's like, get that shit away from me. Like he just like wanted to. Yeah, it was too hard. And then Ellie sees this, and Ellie, like you said, Jamon, she steals it. She steals it from, for him. You know what I mean? And forces him to say, I don't know. Maybe we'll get that later. I don't know.
I mean, that would have been a great scene. That would have been a great scene, especially with his fear of like, I can't protect Ellie. All I'm doing is losing. You know what I'm saying? That photo would have really
panic attacks, all that stuff.
That really would have drove that home.
But my biggest thing about like how we're seeing two episodes being like paired together, this episode and the next episode, I feel like this is like them saying we're testing out what season 2 is going to be, because like they've actually showed you kind of the scenery or the set background for parts of the second season, like as we said, that aren't in the actual first game. And then next episode they're going to be doing the whole time jump, which is something that they do in the second game. So it's going to be like they do this whole Lost type of thing where it's flashback. And I see that's going to be like every episode probably next season. There's going to be like a flashback in every episode, just like how they did it in Lost or something like that. So it's going to be, I see that these are the two episodes where they're testing out to see what's going to work.
For season 2. Maybe so to the comments, Armando, thank you for hanging out. Maybe it's just me. I played the first game, but I don't remember it like you guys do. I think that this episode could have been stretched out to 2 with them exploring the campus more.
I agree.
While being watched. So yeah, like you said, if there was supposed to be like bloaters and that kind of stuff going on at the campus, then they should have did that. I mean, I agree. It doesn't make any sense that you cut that out. That's kind of the point of the show. Not knowing. Right now, I'm watching the movie of the game movie, like somebody cut out, just put the cut scenes together. So I'm watching that story. Which is awesome. I mean, I think they really should just did that like live action, and it would have been fine. But
I feel like this is the stage play of it, like because it has so little action in it. Like you could just take these scripts and just go straight to Broadway in 2.5 weeks when it's all over.
They definitely are making a conscious effort, to your point, or focusing on the people, as opposed to like a Walking Dead perspective, where like the zombies or the walkers or the bloated are like driving the story. We're like, because I thought, again, not playing the game, I thought at some point, as it always happens, we're in a safe place, everything is okay. They think Ellie's the problem because she's infected, but she's not really infected. But then someone in the camp gets infected and Maria dies. I was ready for Maria to get murdered, like by an infected person, and just like to have the whole camp go to shit. That's usually what happens in these types of stories. And when she was still alive, I was like, oh damn, she may be around more than one episode. I was like, okay, let's see where this goes. I didn't want to get committed to her because I figured she was gonna die like everybody else. And I was like, I ain't got time for this shit.
Like my heart can't handle it.
I can't take it. I can't take it. Just kill these fuckers. Like that happy intimate couple. I was like, why are you doing this to me? I don't want to see these motherfuckers die because I know that's what's gonna happen. So I was irritated with that. But yeah, I thought the camp was gonna fall because there was no walker, there was no infected. But that was supposed to be at the campus. Yes. Definitely, they should have flushed that shit out. They should have been running around that campus for almost another whole episode before they kill the Raiders and all that shit. Like that would have made a much more exciting story. Since we had a lot of drama and like people action, now we get back to the bloaters, so you remember what show you're watching, and then we move forward.
Yeah, because to the point, like Jackson, even in the game, Jackson is like for if you're playing the game, you're like, oh, okay, I can relax. It's like it is base. It's like you go to Jackson. You don't have to worry about fighting anyone. You don't have to fight about fighting raiders or whatnot. It's like very calm. So when they left, I was like, oh, they're at the campus. Here we go. And I was like, oh, it's quiet. And it's just a little monkey in there. I mean, yeah, like a monkey does scare you in the game too. But it's like, where's the walkers at? Like, I'm sorry, they're not called walkers. Sorry, the infected at. Where's the infected at? And where's the raiders? I was like, oh yes, there's the raiders. And he takes out one guy. I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, all right, that was. Yeah, to your point, I thought it was going to be a little bit longer. This one could have been, but I mean, I think the guys in the podcast were also. I think that what they were trying to do, they were saying there was attempting to do was because of the whole how heavy it was with Sam and Henry in the last episode. They wanted to give, as their words, they wanted to give the audience a break. They wanted to be like, so this episode was just be like, okay, let's
happy go lucky,
relax, relax, I guess. But I mean, fighting off infected, I think would have been fine though. You know what I mean? It's
once
like,
they left Jackson,
I know what they said. I know they said that, but they were trolling us because I'm like,
do you think so?
The episode starts with the rabbit getting the arrow or whatever, right? And I'm like, we all know who played the game, what that scene begets, right? So it was like, oh, this is happening right now. No, it's not, right? And then they changed the weather conditions to make you think that that's what was really happening because winter is not the season when you're going to meet Tommy. It's not winter there. It's winter when you go to Jackson in the second game because they have the snowball fight and things like that. But they just switch stuff up. They're trying to troll and confuse people who are familiar with things and testing stuff out.
So you don't know what's going to happen, right? So like you they don't want you. To Giovanni's point, they don't want to feel like you're watching just a live version of the game, so you know what's about to happen next. But then you again, they can take some creative license, even with The Walking Dead. The creator of the comic book was like, well, I can do something different in the show because I didn't do it in the comic, right? So even the creators of the game could be like, hey, we wanted to do this, as Chris said, with the whole seeing Jackson and stuff. So it's like, now we can kind of switch it up and maybe revisit the source material and do it a little bit differently, for whatever reason. Like that could be a thing. Okay. Joel's wife could have been Dominican, so Maria, so can Maria, hence the name Maria. Thank you. They could have deepened the bond between Joel and Ellie more. Them having fun on campus, doing silly stuff. Maybe the panic attack Joel had playing to why he got himself killed. True. But I did think this was the episode where they were trying to be like, now they're cohesing as a family. Ellie, with no hesitation, being like, I'm going with you. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I'm gonna get you killed. My shit's all messed up. My brother can take you. And then he was like, I'll give you a choice. And she was like, let's go, daddy. And she was like, he was like, all right. So then we get on the thing. We talk about singing, and eventually he's gonna get a guitar because I did see a little part of the second.
Well,
game.
you saw in the first episode. You saw in the first episode in his house. He had a guitar sitting off to the side when Sarah was like seeing what was going on. He has a guitar, and yes, and in the second game, that I ain't gonna say it's a big part of the game, but like everything from like
it's a
guitar usage, it's very.
It's a thing.
It helps out a lot. As a matter of fact, and that's even where you get like the theme songs and whatnot. The guitar, they kind of, I mean, obviously it's not really Joe, but like they kind of make it seem like Joe would play a song like this.
I'm like, I say the guitar in the second game is the replacement for the watch in this one. Is that a good analogy?
Yeah. I mean, I guess for the kids, I guess, yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, this episode actually got me a little bit nervous about the second season because there was a couple things I was battling with this episode. What I thought we were going to get with this episode, I knew this was going to be a Tommy episode, but a couple of thoughts came in my mind. I was thinking, like in this episode, we were going to get like the flashback, right? So this is what I originally thought until I was talking to someone at work, and then I was like, oh man, never mind. Like, I thought we were going to get like a bunch like flashbacks about what him and Tommy did, right?
Yeah.
Because like in the game, you just only hear about it too. There was nothing like that. And then I was thinking like, man, will we get that to see what they did, right? And then so at first, I remember watching the episode, and I was like, damn, I wish they would. At first, I was like, man, I wish they fleshed it out. But I was talking to someone at work, and they was like, if they did something really bad, and you're watching on the screen, that could backfire for viewers. And then he was like, he brought up, he's like, yo, he's like to just like to remember certain names. He said, like, yo, he said Clay and Sons of Anarchy, Negan from freaking Walking Dead, Ben Linus from Lost, and so there's somebody else. There's someone else. All these characters were either, well, with the exception of maybe Clay, they all start off like as these bad characters, like, and did something really bad. And then all of a sudden they try to like with Negan, they're like, oh, be sympathetic. Oh, Maggie is like kind of slowly forgiving Negan. And Negan's like, I'm so sorry for Glenn. Like, no, but it didn't work. Everyone still freaking hated Negan's like, no, Negan, you should die. What you did in the very beginning. Same thing with Clay. Like, you did what to Jack's dad? What?
But that was off camera. When he whooped the mom's ass, that's when I was like, this dude's done.
Right. Like, but then they tried to make him sympathetic after that. And then it just did not work. Ben Linus, anyone who watched Lost, who knew Ben Linus, he was like, look what you did to Kate and Sawyer and Jack and Lost. Now, all of a sudden, you'd be like, oh, I didn't have a choice or whatnot. And they try to throw stuff in you for you to be sympathetic to Ben and then make all the characters, all the survivors of Lost, forgive this man. And they're like, oh. And then I'm like, and everyone was like, no, F him, screw him.
Wait.
And then so I was thinking about that, huh?
Jamie Lannister. This motherfucker threw pushed a kid out of a window.
Yeah.
And somehow you're supposed to be like, oh, he lost his hand.
I forgot about that.
Fuck Jamie Lannister. We fell for this dude. Like that was episode 1.
That was the first.
Like, you know what? He's not that bad.
But you know what? Yeah, but it made me think. I was like, you know what? Maybe it's better that we didn't get the fucked up stuff that they did, because if that's the case, we would probably been like,
I disagree. I disagree.
You think so?
If they would have, again, Walking Dead, right? At some point, Rick did some wild shit, you know what I'm saying? But he was protecting his family, right? If they would have showed us like Joel, fucking Sarah, and Tommy, like living out there in the life, him having to fucking fucked up some people to take care of his family, right? If you knew he did it to survive for his family, he had to take care of his, you would understand. Right, like, and then you wouldn't just be like, fuck this dude. Like they would give you a context to where he had to do it, because
that's what they tried to do with Ben in Lost. Like they tried to be like later on is like revealed like why he did that. Like there was a threat going on the island that he was like, yo, I kind of had it.
I'm like, you're talking about what he did to Kate and Sawyer and Jack.
Yeah,
Like,
when they were in the cage.
What did he do to the Dharma Initiative when he was a kid?
I forgot about that actually. I forgot that he did some really messed up stuff to them. But I remember it was like the higher, but it wasn't coming from him though. It was like he was kind of forced to because of the higher calling of the island. The island kind of basically it was like he was forced into servitude. It was like he had to do it. You know what I mean? And then so I was like, okay, I kind of get it, but fuck you still. Like, no, you all had a choice. You know what I mean?
I'm just saying,
like the folks in the Amistad said F this and they jumped off the ships of Amistad. You could have done the same. Like,
I think they can do it in the second season after, certain
events happen.
Certain events happen.
And Jumanji.
Show it in hindsight because certain characters aren't as much in play.
Jumanji, and that's what I'm worried about. And that's what I'm worried about with the second season. That's why I said I'm worried about the second season because obviously won't say, but there's a character that the game, I remember playing the game and it was funny because my cousin warned me like, yo, you're gonna play the game, you might want it, and there's going to be times where you're just going to want to stop playing. And I'm like, oh, is it that grotesque or something, right? But no, there's a character they force you to play with, and then you're just like, I don't want to play this game anymore. F this character. Like, no, yeah, you know who I'm talking about. And then this character is so big and is a relevant, a huge part of the second game that even when they said, oh, we're going to get renewed, HBO said renewed for a second season, I was like, yay. And I was like, oh, shit. They're going to do some fuck shit then. They're like, I was like, I'm actually worried that the second season is going to turn, I don't know what, I don't know, Jumanji. I mean, you're right.
I'm like,
there is a perspective.
So much in the first game with this season. I'm like, I hope that they take the criticism that they've gotten with the second game and they start implementing.
How do you do that? That's a lot of you changing the entire a lot, like most of the plot, like 50 or 60% of the plot of the second game. If you change certain events that has to do with this particular character, because some people are like, oh, they shouldn't have that character in there. I'm like, well, they're just going to make up a story then. You know what I mean? You're like, it just.
Well, let's talk about what we know is going to happen. So, like next episode is going to be Ellie's backstory and how she lost her love, or her love, right? So we're gonna get through that. It's interesting that they're pairing that with the idea that she just lost Joel. So, like, she's like, I'm alone again. So that's why they're like, okay, now we're gonna tell the story of what happened in the past, so she can feel how she dealt with loss the first time. And how she's going to deal with it now, and how that pushes forward. So, I mean, do you think it's important that we have a whole episode for this, or could this have been like a story told?
No, it's you're still going to get present day stuff.
Yeah, I feel
so.
Like
you're gonna get back and forth. So the story is going to move along, but you're gonna. I'm not a lot's gonna happen in the present, but it's gonna still be moving along, and you'll get a lot of backstory that informs the past and the future as well. So
yeah, in that prequel game, in the Left Behind prequel game, it was a flashback, but it showed like what was going on present. You know what I mean? And it gave you more background. Like I mean, you just basically said it, David, already, but just more of like just how Ellie deals with like being like kind of how the first time she was left alone and why that's her biggest fear, and then even like today, you know what I mean? And it was kind of important, kind of showcase both of them and show like why her and Joel was one and the same, especially if they introduce another character, which I guess they will. You know what I mean? Now they already, like now that Ellie's going to be doing her thing or whatever, that there's a character that kind of I feel like I guess they're going to have to do an episode. I don't know if they'll introduce them in this episode 7, but probably episode 8
maybe at the end, like how they
no, it'll be episode 8 if you know who I'm talking about. That one I think is going to be very action packed. That character that dealing with Ellie, you know what I mean, present day, that ridiculous character, that crazy character. Who's sadistic, but also probably one of my favorite characters in the first game, next to maybe Bill. but he's really fucked up. But yeah, so I feel like, yes, to answer your question, yeah, I think this episode, the next week's episode, which I don't think is going to be all flashback, I think it is kind of more, I think it is important. You know what I mean?
Because like
and it also
said,
kind of, it also previews like stuff going on, like what will happen like years in the future. You know what I mean? So you get to understand why Ellie is the way she is and why she's so headstrong about everything and that kind of carries out for her entire life. You know what I mean? Even dealing with just this one friend that she had, you know?
Yeah. Well,
in the game, the next episode and the episode after that, like I guess you'd say, are the episodes where you play as Ellie, as opposed to the whole entire rest of the game you're playing as Joel. So these are like her 2 episodes to kind of shine as the lead, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. All right, this is her Emmy moment right here. This is Bella Ramsey's Emmy
opportunity.
Emmy opportunity here.
They said so. As you guys watched the after the episode, there both of the actors were saying how it was important to as close as possible to redo the scene from the game of her confronting Joel about Sarah and him saying, no, you're right, you're not my daughter, and tomorrow's going to be it. And then like they really wanted to try to make it like as close to the game as possible, because that was an important scene. And then again next day he was like, well, let me try this anyway. So he didn't have panic attacks in the game, I'm assuming, like as they got him doing it now.
No, and he wasn't deaf, and
no.
That's the crazy thing. He wasn't deaf, and he had like X-ray vision, but now it's just juxtaposed. It's kind of crazy.
Oh, the extra. Well, no panic attack. Which looking at the podcast, because they were talking about that moment too. They're saying you don't get panic attacks in the video games because you're playing as that person, and you could just move around, start shooting stuff, so you're not connected. They said wouldn't make sense to have a person playing as a character who all of a sudden is holding their heart, like in the middle of shooting, all of a sudden start holding their chest. You know what I mean? So I get it. I guess technically speaking, you know what I mean. Cinematically, I think this was a great choice. Duke's 56 years old, been through a lot. You know what I mean? I mean, yeah, like we see him like lowering his like having the shield in front of him. But this kind of just brings more of the it remind stuff like that kind of like make the viewers, I think, like actually understand these characters and kind of be like, yo, I know this character because that's me. Like, holy shit, like I just worked a 15-hour shift and I was holding my chest. Damn, and look at Joel. Joel just watched another man like shoot his own brother and everything else, a few months back, and now he's panicking because this girl who he was trying not to like, who he really loves now, he's now scared that he can't defend this girl, and she's up before him, which is very dangerous, you know what I mean, and actually saving his life, which is not how this is supposed to go. So he's like, yo, my purpose sucks. And I think that's why he was upset, even at Tommy. When you saw how upset he was. Like, who normally would be upset with having, like, you got electricity, kids playing having snowball fights. Why would you be upset with that? But he was upset because he was like, yo, my brother doesn't need me, son of a bitch. Like he doesn't need me. And I'm like, this was my purpose, right? And you can actually see Ellie kind of being upset too when Joel runs over to Tommy. He's like, Tommy, and then they're like embracing. You saw that look that Ellie gave?
Yeah, she was like,
she was kind of jealous.
Now I'm getting pushed aside for this dude.
Yeah.
And they both had that kind of, I see your point. They both had the kind of feeling of like, it was us, but now it's not us. So Ellie's like, what's my role? But again, they skip so much time that it's hard for me, like, who didn't play the game. It's hard for me to see that, like, now they're like this, that all of a sudden she is like, well, who's this dude? It's been us for months, hanging out, and like they're pushing through things, but we're just supposed to go with, yeah, we got it. You guys made it together throughout the woods and all that kind of stuff. And now you're together, and now she's worried about her role in this thing, and she don't want to lose, like Joel at this point.
I think that's why that scene with the old couple and them sleeping in the cave was there to just add more time between the Sam story and the Tommy story. Was just like, we need to show that something
has happened between these two people. They've
it's
been
not,
together
they're
and
just
done
not
that.
jumping from one story to the next.
And that's why I'm like, that's why I'm feeling like in many ways they're rushing a story that they're trying to tell, because there's a lot of personal stakes that we're supposed to be feeling. And again, if you don't know the game, it's just like, well, David, in the game they're already like this. But I'm like, without that, I'm like, you all just met. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a little bit.
Well, no, I mean the game. I gotta be honest though, the game isn't that much different, other than like maybe you spend more time with the character because you're going around shooting other things. But no, they do time. They do like a time skip too. They do like, oh, it's a winter thing. So to your point, even the game kind of at times lack the emotional bonds between the two, in the sense of like for you to be like divested together through, you know what I mean? They do a much better like there's certain segments I guess they do a much better job when they do like talking about like the Left Behind stuff, and you see like the stuff in between like certain segments of the games and whatnot. But no, I would kind of say, to your point, I guess that's a small critique I would have too on that too. Again, I guess maybe they could afford this episode to be like maybe about close to maybe 2 hours. I know that sounds crazy, but make this a 2-episode thing, whereas it's like we kind of get like a little, like a, you know, I'm not asking for like a Rocky montage where it's like a bunch of them, they're just laughing, and you know, there's like
more
like
joke,
popcorn in each other's mouth, like catching it, and you know what I mean? Rock, paper, scissors. I mean,
like the shooting scene, him teaching her how to shoot was cool. Like again, they take moments to be like, look, they're bonding, right?
Yeah.
And you can.
But in the game, it wasn't even Joel. It was Tommy. Tommy takes her up to a roof and with his gun. So they kept that part the same. It was Tommy's gun, and he's shooting at a bunch of infected folks down there. So see that infected, shoot him. You know what I mean? So he's just like, whoa, you got him. Whoa, that's so far away. Whatever, you know. I guess but if anything, they kind of kept it for Joel in this show, which is a great choice. But you're right. They should have added maybe a little bit more. This is one of those episodes that could have afforded to be a little bit longer, I feel.
Yeah, or just spend a couple more episodes, like just kind of flush it out a little bit. But again, I don't know what kind of time constraints they put on themselves to kind of tell the story a little bit more succinctly. One thing I noticed in Joel's mentions Tommy's military service, Joel seems more prepared. Might just be because he's had more screen time. But did Joel have military training also? Yeah, like they were both veterans.
No. It was Tommy that was the veteran. It was
Really?
A truck that said Desert Storm. Yeah. Remember, Joel was a contractor. Everybody loved contractors.
Oh, my fault. I'm sorry, because I just assumed I thought
no, David. What you're thinking of is like, no, because Pedro's such a militant man in Mandalorian, which also starts next week, by the way, everyone. You know,
he said
no. When they were talking, he said, yeah. He was giving Tommy's whole history, and he was like, yeah, he just likes to be a follower and join stuff. He likes to join the army, join the fire.
Yeah, because he wanted to save the world. He wanted to save the world.
I'm sorry. I took it, again, I just assumed, being the expert somehow killer that he is now, even more reason why we need.
No, he's just from Texas. He just knows how.
Stop it.
Texas.
I was like, look, born and raised, stop it. But anyway, I'm like, even more reason I need to see him out there fucking being the sniper fucking assassin that he is now. Like this makes even now less sense. I'm like more upset that I'm like, who is this fucking mild-mannered contractor who's now fucking murdering people at any whim, just to be like, and like he knows how to do it. I'm like,
he's had 20 years of experience from Fedra. He was getting paid to do whatever they wanted him to do.
Stop it. Like Jason Bourne did it better. Damn it! Like I need to see it. I need to see it. I didn't know that. I thought they were both veterans. You know what I'm saying? And now they're contractors.
I'll put you like this: in the game, when you see Tommy fight, it's clear that Tommy's the fighter of the two. You know what I mean? It's like Tommy. Yeah. So I mean, we didn't get to see Tommy in action here, but in the game, when you are like around the dam or whatnot, Tommy follows you around. I think Maria briefly follows you. I can't remember. Maria's not even in the game a whole lot, actually. You know, she's not even pregnant, actually.
I'm about to say she's pregnant in the game, so this is all new stuff.
That's new. I think that one's new. I don't remember her being pregnant or having a kid. You know, having a kid that passed away. So that I think they just kind of opened her character But I mean, I ain't mad at them. It's just they just opened them up a little bit more, kind of made them more human.
It gives Tommy more stakes on why he's not going with his brother, like why he's choosing to stay at Jackson, to be like, I know you're my brother, but I got a family now, you know, and it added to the dynamic between them when he's like, your life stopped and I'm sorry about that, but mine didn't. You know what I'm saying? Like I moved forward, and why can't you be happy for me? Like that's a lot. But I also understand
he told me, he's like, yo, he said, man, you haven't gotten old. He said, you on the other hand. I was like, bars. I mean, that was in the game too, but that spoke a lot. Like this man, like you know how they say like stress ages you and stuff like that. You know what I mean? This man's living pretty or whatnot. It was like, to him, everything's good. He's all about hope. You know what I mean? That which is, you know, that's what Tommy was all looking for. That's why he joined the Fireflies. His hope is to get out of the oppression. You know, to get out of communism. You know what I mean?
That was a bit much.
That was kind of funny.
It was fun. I was like, that was funny. It's like, this is a commune. We're actual communists. Yeah, yes.
Yeah. Can I ask a question though? Speaking, I just thought about that dog thing. They were all on horseback, right?
Yeah.
How was that dog with them then?
Moving as fast as they were.
Was it running really fast?
That doesn't make sense.
Or with the dog on top of the horse behind them?
That doesn't make sense.
I just thought about that.
Like, wait,
where the hell was the dog?
As fast as these fucking horses. Wait, unless
did the dog have his own horse? Or just like,
unless they're trotting with the dog, with the horse to stay up with the dog. Like, doesn't make sense.
Dogs ain't that fast.
Yeah, dogs ain't that fast. I was like, wait. It looks cool though. It just looks cool. Like we got
it looks cool. But they probably mad that I even thought about that. They're like,
oh wait,
there was a blunder there. Damn it.
Wait. They were just outside Jacksonville, right? They met up with them just outside Jacksonville, right? I thought.
Yeah, I guess it wasn't that far away. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. It could have been like they were on patrol, just walking, you know, with
maybe a mile away, maybe.
And like, you know, they just hop. No, to your point, it don't make any sense. Like they would either been carried the dog or they would have been walking with the dog. It don't make any sense. It just looked cool. So if they're changing that much, do you think we're gonna get more of Tommy and Maria and the baby? Like, is this gonna be like a thing? Like they're gonna try to flush that out more in season 2, you know what I'm saying? I don't think they got time for it in season 1, but I mean,
season 2, that, you know,
season 2 would make sense.
We'll definitely get a lot of it.
Yeah. All right. We can, and then the whole, again, I didn't know who had military training and not, but if for Maria to look at Joel, like he's the threat. He made my sweet Tommy do all this stuff. And it's like, no, damn it. Like, Tommy's the one with the military training. He's much more capable of killer than I am. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but he's but he's like okay. What you're saying makes sense, but he's also the little brother. Like, he's a little brother. Like, his thing is always to serve and to serve others. You see what I'm saying? So you're right. He has a military training, but he's not the leader.
Yeah, he's a soldier. You know,
he's just a soldier. He's not the brainchild, you know what I mean? He's not the leader.
But you see the conundrum with this thing, right? If it's like if they just started, world is fallen, is then 2 out there, Sarah's dead. It's according to y'all, it's Tommy who would have been the one, like, okay, we need to take this threat out. You know, like we need to do this to survive. It wouldn't have been Joel, like, hey, okay, we're gonna slit some people's throats.
No,
like,
no. Tommy wanted to pull over for that kid on the
exactly.
road. And
yeah,
Joel
Tommy was like, I want to save the
going.
world. I want to, yes, there's a family out there. We need to help him, put him back in the back of the truck. And Joel was thinking level-headedly. He was thinking realistically, logistically. No, we need to keep going. Someone else will get him. Like, that's the difference between the two. And that is why Joel literally had to keep Tommy alive. You're right. Like, in essence, that should be the case, but that's not Tommy's thinking. Tommy is all about everyone can be saved. He would have been kind of like the Ellie in the sense of like, oh, my blood can cure the world. I would put it on Sam too. You know what I mean? Like he would do the dangerous shit. Tommy would do the most dangerous. He would be too trusting of people. Let me put you like that. He'd be too trusting of folks. Tommy would be.
That would have been
compared to Joe. And Joe, I think because especially what happened to him and his daughter and whatnot, and dealing with the law enforcement that he thought that he could, that should be trustworthy or whatnot, that just already seared in his mind. Well, I mean, that part was in the game too. It was just more of like what happened to him and what someone was supposed to be to save him. It's like you just the trust. It's like I don't know who to trust. You know what I mean, Bill? I don't even know if I can trust you. Like, you know what I mean? while Tommy over here is like, no, we can come back. We're good. Tommy's like, God damn, like, you know what I mean? You're annoying, you know what I mean? So
again,
I'm like the hierarchy. I think was
Yeah.
Tess was like the real leader because
Yeah.
she was basically controlling Joel. Like, this is what we're gonna do. I need you. You know, I'm not gonna hit him, but I would really like for you to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I
But
mean?
Joe's smart about it.
And then
Joe's not the type
and
of
then-
person that will get in fights at a bar and have to call his brother to get him out of prison.
also true.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's
as they shape the character. Anyway, we gotta wrap this up. Giovanni, how you want the season to end? I mean, how you think it's going to end? Maybe a better question.
I don't know exactly how they're going to stick some sort of the landing, if they're going to do the big reveal in next episode, like with the whole backstory, because that's kind of like the end of the game. Is like, I wasn't alone when I got when I got infected or whatever the case may be. That was kind of like the big reveal at the end of the game. So you're gonna find all of that out next episode. So I'm like, I don't know how the so to say last scene of the season is so to say gonna be, with part of it being diminished. I see that they're putting some of the comic book or something into the next episode, because this is even more than the video game, because you actually see her at the like Fedra school and stuff like that, which is even further of a backstory. I think we should have had a lot more joke book, because we're going to see the origin of that next episode. And I don't know if we're going to see any more of the joke book, after next episode. So I think we should have gotten a lot more of that. I just hope that they can tell the story and not seem like they're running too fast of a pace, because it seems like they're adding new stuff, but it's at the sacrifice of good pacing. Like, either keep it the same and have a good rhythm, or if you're going to change it, you need to add more episodes or something. It's kind of disjointed, and it doesn't, you're not getting as much infected, so you're not really seeing the threat as much. So it's like you're saying you don't have any spores. It's there's so little threat in this actual dramatization wise. It's almost like you forget about it a lot of the times.
Yeah. This has become, to your point, this has become more of a person driven story than than an action like a Walking Dead series, or even a Resident Evil series, like where that's kind of driving the external threat is driving a story instead of the internal human threat is driving a story. And with Walking Dead, they did it better, like in that kind of sense. Like sometimes it was Walker, and then they got down to the people, right? Because you got to do that to kind of ground it, and then went back to the walkers. You know what I'm saying? Like this is like it's more people, in that sense. Chris, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, I have a pretty good grasp on how this is going to end. And looking at I think the pacing of the game, the pacing of the show, I think it's going to end and become very similar to the game. But yeah, I'm just more curious to just hear people's just I guess when people, especially people who have not played the game, is not familiar with it, people's thoughts of the conclusion of the first game, because I thought it was great. Some people found it a little controversial, but I thought it was great. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping they don't change much about it than the game or whatnot, to kind of keep it pure. Especially just what they wrote for. But I'm looking forward to it. The next couple episodes, I think, is going to be great. Obviously, we have, as we already saw from the previews, we got her and Riley flashback scene with possibly maybe the addition of David, I guess. And I think the finale is going to be the one I think everyone's going to be talking about. I feel, not trying to overhype it already, but if it's anything like the game, it's That's gonna
You think
that's
we're
gonna
gonna
be
get a
something.
draft? You think we're
Huh?
gonna get a draft?
Oh, did you know we kind of got a draft in this one? Did you notice that in the
The
in the room, the
wallpaper or something like
bedroom?
that?
Yeah, it was wallpaper. But to your point, yeah, they need to put the actual draft in. I think we should. We should. Or unless they're saving it for the second game. I don't know. We should, yeah. Yeah, because you're right, because the drafts were a big part of Last of Us, period. Man, yeah. So yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. Just can't wait to see what else going on with this season. Like I said, this was like the episode as far as emotions. This is the Emmy, the for your consideration episode. You know what I mean? This is definitely it. So yeah.
Well, we will see. HBO is no stranger to Emmys or success. So we will see how this show stacks up. And these actors are great, so I'm sure they'll be fine. Thank you everybody much
You
for
can
joining
get
us.
your tissues out if you thought episode 3 was something. Next up tomorrow night, get your tissues out.
All right, I accept that challenge. Let's see what happens. Because Bill and Frank had me. We'll see what happens with next week's episode, tomorrow's episode. All right, guys. Thank you guys very much for watching. We will be back next week, and we will continue and see where the series ends. Does it end like the game? Do they do something different? We will see.
I just had an idea since Mandalorian premieres later on this week, and one day should we do reviews on one Pedro show to another Pedro show where he's protecting one magic child and to another magic child. You know what I mean? Like two magic kids that he's protecting.
I hear you. Our schedule is pretty packed.
Okay.
So I gotta think about that. I don't know if I want to be doing like 7 videos a week. And yeah, so we seriously gotta think about that. Who wants to be a part of that video? Do we do it sometime during the week?
True.
Yeah. Because
really, actually, that might be better. I wonder, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Especially we get Stephanie on board, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Because she. I'm sure that's one of the shows she actually will do. So we may have to adjust that during the week. And so yeah, and just have to make some tough calls about who's not going to be in because of that. But anyway, let's get to the silly shit called Your Honor. But I think y'all for watching. We got 2 more videos. We got Your Honor after this. We got BMF. It's not going to get better. That's what I'm saying. Like, this is the best show we're reviewing today. They're going to do Your Honor. They're going to do BMF. So